And today I'm going to be building, or rather, making much better, a biome that exists in my end islands. And honestly, I know streamers, YouTubers, you're meant to start with like a nice, like, warm people up, how are you doing, etc. But I've said before that small talk is not my favorite thing, and so let's start with big talk, chat. I've been thinking a lot recently about what beauty actually is. This is the concept of aesthetics, you know, like what makes something beautiful and what art is genuinely a really fun discussion that is both, you know, great for the purposes of art, but also a really interesting one to have for the purposes of, you know, like, you know, a deeper dive into the philosophy of what it even means for something to be art. Also, there is a raid happening in my end still, which we're just gonna have to choose to not believe that that one is there, and everything will be fine. But this is my pale garden, which, as you can probably tell, I built just after that update came out, just under a year ago now. And I got all of the trees down in there. It was great and it was wonderful, but I never actually went and finished the ground layer. It's perfectly fine in its current form. It's technically okay, you know. It's complete in any sense that you could measure. But I felt like we could easily change something about it, and so let's head over there. Let's make a bridge first of all, because I think having all of this connect together, my nether fortress, my desert island, etc., would be good. But also, I'm then going to be placing stone blocks down in front of it. And the reason why is kind of an extension of this question of what even is beauty. Hello everyone, by the way, how are you doing? But I think that, like, what makes something, you know, like, fun, what makes something, like, actually a work of art is a really, really, really surprisingly compelling question, because some people would argue, like, even amongst people who you might think are pretty decently agreed on, like, you know, within the world of philosophy, it's still a question that has a lot of room for interpretation, because does art exist, you know, like, is something that's really, you know, great, like a movie that you really relate to, or a painting, or a YouTube video even, or a Minecraft build like this, if you like something like that, is it because the art is a distraction from what is real? Do we like art because it distracts us from the real world? Or do we like art because it reminds us of different parts of the real world? You know, seeing something like this, you might say like, oh yeah, Toycat, the reason that this is the reason I'm gonna enjoy seeing you turn slowly all of this stone into pale moss, so that it looks a little bit more like a pale garden. Because, fun fact, you cannot change end stone into pale moss, but you can change regular stone into moss, so we just have to cover the biome with the moss, so we can change it like this. It's the way things go, it's the way things will go. It'll be kind of fun, I guess. But, yeah, basically, the reason that this is good, you could argue, is like, oh yeah, well, it's fun to see you, you know, doing something extreme in Minecraft. Or is it actually that this is, you know, echoing something you might see in the real world? You know, you wouldn't ever see the end dimension that has its own dragon, and you wouldn't see floating islands with specifically pale white trees inside of them. I assume. I haven't, you know, I'm not a nature man, so that might exist somewhere in the world. Honestly, floating islands should exist in the real world. They're in so many pieces of fantasy, but not in the real world. But like, does something that you enjoy? Do you enjoy it because it replicates something from the real world? Is that what art is? Or is art actually, you know, something that we use to kind of distract us? Is art, you know, like, is art made from things that can exist in the real world but don't? Is that why we like watching movies where the actors pretend they are playing their characters, you know? You know, even though everyone knows that Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, or whoever he is these days, Doctor Doom, even though everyone knows that he is actually a man who lives in California, who, I don't know, probably has some savory and unsavory opinions. You know, we pretend that he is this character for a little while, and it makes everything work a little bit better. I've always thought, you know, as someone who believes that truth is one of the deepest values, I've always found it bizarre and hard to reconcile that, like, yeah, you could not make a movie. Like, literally, no movie works when every character is honest about who they are playing. Even when you have movies where it's like, oh yeah, this is like for realsies, so, you know, you don't have to keep your guard up. It's like, nah, actually, everyone is pretending to play a real version of themselves. They are playing a fictionalized fake version of themselves. Also, IBX Toycat is definitely art that distracts me from the real world. I'm glad to hear it, Dasher. I'm glad that this art, I'm glad that, or, you know, even there's a deeper question, like, is there a limit to what isn't art, you know? because, you know, at some point you've got to say, like, well, when you wake up in the morning and, you know, your alarm clock goes off, is the alarm sound art? Maybe. Is you refusing to wake up art? Probably not. But maybe it still is. You know, you can kind of, like, infinitely argue about it and end up getting exactly nowhere. But that's what makes it so beautiful, isn't it? So, yeah, I think that our solar system's asteroid belt is full of floating islands. Hey, there we go. One of the things that is kind of saddening is if you were a medieval peasant 800 years ago, you would have never imagined the world as it is right now, where you could travel anywhere on the planet. Basically, you know, like, you need, like, maybe a 4-digit sum of money, but over the average lifetime, you earn dramatically more than that. Like, even if you're one of the worst off people from one of the worst off regions today, you can still theoretically see everywhere in the world once, or at least you can see the other side of the world once. For that to be true for the bottom rung of society, let alone, like, you know, like, if you are a king or a king equivalent, you know, you go to the United Nations, which is in a different country, and then you fly back in the afternoon on a very fancy moving horse that goes 1,000 kilometers an hour. Like, none of that would have been comprehensible, but now we are very aware that if we keep our current trajectory up, we will one day be able, I'm aware that as long as we don't mess it up, like, you know, our great-grandkids as a generation will be maybe able to go to the asteroid belts, or at least Mars, right? Maybe it'll be like how to, you know, like, when they first discovered, like, I don't know, Bermuda, you'd probably be like, wow, this is one of the coolest parts of the world. People will go here forever. But nowadays, Bermuda's like a very niche holiday spot, right? Maybe it'll be the same with, like, asteroids. Like, why would I go to the asteroid belt or the Kuiper belt or whatever when, you know, the Alpha Centauri is out there? It's a fun question, right? Anyway, hello everyone. Good to see you, Ad and Sony. Wonderful to catch you on this stream. Also, are we about to talk about the urinal? What urinal are we about to talk about, Dan Maloney? Would you like me to talk about urinals? Are urinals art? You know, is urinal, as you're probably aware, urinals have cakes in them. Are urinals therefore a bakery? Is the men's bathroom actually a bakery? You know, it would make a lot of sense if it was. No, I do think though, like, to kind of just round up to start things off nice and deep so we can talk about urinal bakeries. I do think it's worth thinking about, like, what is it that exists in the world that brings you value, and why is that? What is it that you find beautiful, and why? In every sense of the world, it's worth considering. Because one of the funniest things is, I think a lot of us, myself included, I think I could point to... Oh, we probably want to leave that there, actually. I think I could point to a lot of things that I like for whatever reason. You know, I could point to things that I find to be, that I deem to be beautiful, but I don't know that I'd be able to tell you why. I don't think, you know, I could point at a Minecraft build, and it would be hard for me. I think for some things it's easy for me to say, like, oh, I can see the effort, I really appreciate that. But, like, you know, why is it that movies are bad or good? We all have a surface level explanation that never actually accounts for something fully. You know, this is Minecraft Live week, as Minecraft Live Eve, as someone put it pre-stream. So how do you feel about Minecraft Live? Is there something else you want to be announced besides the copper age? Yeah, of course there is. Yeah, as we're in Minecraft Live Eve, we are in this funny world where everyone's like, yeah, here's what I want to see, and I'll be deeply disappointed if we don't have it. But actually, the things that would most excite us are the things we don't even know about yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone wants in their mind an end update to be announced. But I think people would like far more than an end update. Something that they just don't know yet, you know? In the same way that you probably didn't picture an end update some number of years ago. I think I need more of these moss carpets. So I'll replace the torches with those, because this is pretty well torched. And then I'll stone over there. So this technically works. And it makes a little gap that lets some light through, which is important in this dimension. So I'll keep doing it that way. Although it messes up this a bit. So we'll have to, like, place blocks like that. And then place the blocks on top. And then that'll probably be just fine. Oh, I've got a end gateway in here. That's definitely got to stay. That is a very fun feature. Looking forward to seeing how that looks once we end Stonify it. Also, IBX I've sent you a DM about a video thing. Oh. Yeah, 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 how's it going, by the way? Oh, hello. It was good. It's good to see you here, by the way. How's it going? Happy Tuesday, Thursday. You gotta give me a little contact. Yeah, I'd love to catch up. Um, yeah, I recently watched a video about gratitude and thanked a friend for letting me steal his account to watch the video. I'm glad that you did. It's it is a nice thing for someone to do, right? That friend is presumably under no obligation to let you use their account, and yet they do anyway. Um, yeah, yeah. Hello, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Um, what would be your favorite update? Whether it's big or a drop. What was that one that got you most interested? Sorry, there's something going on, chat. That seemed quite important. You know, I've been thinking, chat, about. Also, why is there a birch tree in here? Did someone? I've been thinking about like specifically when it comes to like Minecraft worlds. One of the things that I really like is when I work on something and it takes whatever amount of time it does, and the end result is something that still captivates me. There's an interesting thing in most forms of media where once you've created something, you're kind of done with it. If anyone's ever tried writing a story or a book or anything, I like writing quite a bit. If you've ever tried doing that, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But if you have, there's this kind of thing where as soon as you're done with a book, you're done with it. You're like, I am never going to work on this again. I don't even look at this again, to be totally honest. Also, there we go. Nice. And it's the same is true for, like, you know, I'm sure that Robert Downey Jr. is not going to watch the Avengers regularly, even if he's really proud of it, because it's done. It's in the past. It's a healthy way to grow past things. But in Minecraft, I think what's cool about it is that you regularly do engage with things from the past. And so what I think is really cool is like working out like what is it that's interesting to see after the fact, and what is it where I built it and then never look at it again. And like ultimately, one of the things I'm sad to say is the never look at it again thing is that chat, I made it in 2016 and I look at it occasionally and go, yeah, but it doesn't evoke any feelings in me. Also, Yotsuka, how is your life outside of Minecraft? Like family, friends, probably even love life? You barely talk about yourself. You not die with me? I'll answer your question. I'll do the best I can. Honestly, usually pretty good. I think I'm like I think as far as like friends in my life go, I think like most people there's like a kind of tiered list of, you know, like there's a tiered set of relationships. Like there are the people that I try to interact with once a week or once every, you know, couple of weeks if not. And there are people that I get to catch up with once every 2 to 3 months. My current... Also, how did I remove the bedrock here? Did I remove the bedrock here? I don't know, but it's kind of cool. Anyway, though, so, yeah, to try and stay on track, I will do my best. So we're leaving the birch sapling, says Kara Cox. Yeah, the birch sapling exists for a reason. I would hate to remove it for no reason, because it is there. You know, there's a reason that it was put there. You know, let's let it cook, as people say. Maybe when it grows, it will all make sense. It probably won't, but maybe it will. Maybe it will. Anyway, though, so if you want to know about my life, I think I've been thinking about it today. I had like a big, deep, sad moment today, chat. I was just feeling really bad. Wasn't doing so great, and I was wondering like, oh, why is that? Like, what's like I think it's like important to like analyze, right? It's really easy to just feed into it and be like, well, I am sad because I am sad, therefore I will do sad things because that's one of the easiest. It's one of the easiest. It's the easiest thing to do when you're sad, at least. Again, I'm talking about my own experience here. It's like when it comes to anything mental, you obviously, it's gonna vary person to person. But I find like there's a lot of easy things to do, and I was just like, okay, no, but let's also I can't place blocks around here. Also, it won't grow up yet. So I kind of want to leave the chorus plants, but we definitely can't have that there. Will it grow now? Hey, it will grow now, which means we can finish placing blocks around it. See, I had a pretty bad day today. I think part of it was like I wanted to do. There was 3 big things I wanted to do today, and the first one was the smallest one, but the most time sensitive, and it just stressed me out a bunch. Chat. I don't even. It was like trying to explain why is like part of the research I did for it. I ended up finding things related to myself that I did not enjoy finding. You know, like I don't understand. I think that one of the nice things about these streams, one of the reasons I like doing these streams, even if I'm like sometimes feeling stressed, is because like we're in a pretty nice community. You know, the Adam Sonys are here, or Josh Jones picks in, and it's like, oh, there's Kat. Oh, great. I know that when Kat says something, she's being very serious, not ironic. You know, like she's being nice. The Never Pillager Tower was built in 2020 while you were in America. You ate a piece of money? No recollection, Balo. But I love that. That sounds like me. I would eat money in exchange for more money. But yeah, I think it's kind of cool. Whereas today, like, I thought immediately, I was like, oh, it's probably because I had to, like, I don't know, like, the world of people who have an opinion on you is surprisingly large. And so doing research where like, oh no, why am I appearing here was like a weird thing. It should have been like a cool moment of like, you know, I think for a lot of people, if fame is your #1 priority, it's cool to have moments where that kind of comes up. But to me, it's like, I found it to be like, oh no, why are all these people talking about me? And, you know, like, I found it strange. I don't want to talk about this too much because I'm sure it's the least relatable issue in the world. But yeah, I was having a bad day, and then I kind of like thought about it. And I realized, like, yeah, for the last, like, week, I've been trying to... Because I've finally been done with my, like, crazy travel and summer stuff. Like, you know, there's just been a lot going on for the last 2 months. So I'm finally done with that, and so I'm trying to, like, get back ahead on videos. I am most sane when I have at least 2 videos recorded ahead of where I need to be, right? And so I've been trying to, like, spend as many hours a day as I can to get back ahead of videos. I try not to make, you know, like, bad video. I try to make sure they're good videos. I try to make sure they're ones that I am proud of and that I'd be happy to see, etc., etc. By the way, thank you, Josh Jones.
Have some happiness money to cheer you up, haha.
Thank you very much, Josh Jones. I did buy myself a lobster roll earlier, and so it does seem like, you know, if that can't make me happy, then what can? But no, I was sorry, I had a bad day. I was eating a stick. I bet eating a stick off the ground will make you feel better. I bet it would. You're right, Dasher. Yeah, IBX Cookie's getting sick. Her hair's sticking up all of a sudden. Georg, we should have a chat. We should have a chat after the stream if you want to have one. I would love to. I would enjoy doing that. I'm glad to. I'd love to chat about a cookie, but yeah, I would love to. But yeah, we love you, Toy Cat, says Aaron Church. Thank you very much, Aaron Church. That's a nice message. I think it's the first one I've read for you, and I'm glad to hear it. But yeah, thank you again to Josh Jones. I feel like, oh, by the way, Josh Jones, you're #1 chatter now. Congratulations. But yeah, so I was having like a really bad day, and I was like, ultimately, like, you know, what is actually causing this? And you know, like, I think for most people, when you can't directly work out why you are feeling sad, it's worth thinking, like, you know, is this some unresolved emotion? Is this? And for me, I think the conclusion I came to is like, yeah, I think I've been doing less. You know, like this is a weird thing to say, but I'm a very, like, I recharge my battery by not socializing, but also I don't think I can not socialize for as long as some people can. So I haven't hung out with my, like, my core group of friends for, like, 2 months now. We keep trying. We can't get dates in the calendar. There's the one friend who's like, I need it to be specifically only on a Sunday, and also it can't cost me any money, and also traveling in to even, you know, It can't be at my house, but also, yeah, I don't know. Like, people go through different things different times. It's totally fine. So we just haven't been able to find a time where everyone gets together. And then for every other friend, like meet once every month or every couple months or every few months, I've just been dreading it, chat. I've just like, there's someone that I was trying to meet like every month or two. Like I would enjoy if we had a hangout scheduled. I'm dreading having a conversation with them about like, oh yeah, can you come here? And they'll be like, oh yeah. I don't want to schedule things for a bit. I want to have the feeling free, feeling like my calendar is clear and that I could do anything feeling. So yeah, I think though that has led me into a state where I'm like, yeah, I haven't hung out, like, I hung out with a friend, but, like, it was a friend that is just very stressful to be around. I think I've said this before, chat, but if you're a guy with lady friends, I feel like there is, like, there are two varieties. There are the type that will make sure everything is fine and easy, and there are the types that will make sure that things are not fine and easy, and it is your job to make sure they're fine and easy. And I know, like, I feel like I know a lot of people in the second category. Maybe that's a deeply offensive view on gender relations. I'm just telling you what I think right now, not what's the reality for you. You should let me make videos where I make up things and lie. You already can make videos where you make up things and lie. What things would you like to make up and lie about, Adam Sony? I think having low contact friends is vastly undervalued. I feel weird about it, because every one of my low contact friends, I'm like, we should go high contact, right? I don't understand. Like, I literally, maybe this is just something you'll pick up. Maybe it's something I'd pick up if I had a different situation in life. But, like, I don't surely if I like these people, we should want to hang out a lot. I even have, like, members of my family where it's like, oh, yeah, I like hanging out with you. We can make this as regular as you would like. And it's kind of, for them, it's like, yeah, well, we ticked that off, so a month ago. So we don't need to meet for another couple now. And it's like, oh, yeah, because everyone runs things differently that way. But, like, I think that's one of the parts of, like, being a 30-year-old I haven't adjusted to. Now, it could be a city thing, too. Tell me if this is your experience if you are also 30. But everyone needs to be booked 3 months in advance. And you can book even if you do, there's a chance that they cancel closer to the date. But if you want to say, hey, if you want to be spontaneous, be like, you want to do something this weekend? Everyone is like, no. I've decided what I was doing this weekend back in June, buddy. If you wanna, maybe we could meet in December, but December's a busy month, so let's make it January. January is actually a bit of a, a hard month. That's gonna be a money-saving month. So can we meet in February? And I'm like, I don't know what I want to do in February. Do we have to commit to being friends until February, but not learn anything about each other between now and then? That sounds kind of complicated. I feel the same way. I've gone to the point where I feel weird talking to people I've known for over decades, if it's been too long since we've talked. Yeah, I think it would be good to not have that, right? I think that's a undesirable thing, but it is also kind of strange. My one beloved low contact friend is precious to me. Who is your low contact friend? Yeah, I don't know. So the thing that drives me crazy though is like, I love a bit of spontaneity, chat. The reason that I find it so hard to schedule these streams in advance, I make them public like an hour or two before, is because I hate the idea of let's make a plan and then someone disappoints someone by not making it. Whereas maybe I think either we need to make it acceptable to, like, I think the easiest solution would be like, yeah, make it more acceptable to make tentative plans and be like, those are the plans. I will not make plans with someone else. You or me is the priority on this day. If it is me, then I will stay at home and have a nice cup of tea. That's all I ask for. Is that too much, chat? It definitely is too much. I particularly want to post misinformation on your channel about controversial topics. Oh, tell me some misinformation you'd like to share. Shall I post some misinformation right now, chat? Did you know that the moon is actually a Minecraft build and that Antarctica doesn't really exist, which is why there's no commercial flights there? There we go. That'll keep people thinking for a bit. Gary S. Parker, howdy y'all. Good to see y'all, Gary Parker. Also, easy solution is don't talk to your friends. Life is so much simpler. Yeah, I think, you know, I think that is a valid way of doing things. Lots of people do it that way, to be clear. But also, everything in this forest is going to be like 1 block smaller than it otherwise would be, but that's fine. I think I'm going to stick to placing blocks for a bit. I'm going to make sure we expand the blocks real far out, and we'll deal with the rest as it comes. Can we grow this? We cannot grow this. Yeah, Tylenol, that is... Oh, yeah. Also, Alan Sony is misinformation. Misinformation would be such a good superhero character. Honestly, I would love to see... I'm so done with superhero movies, so I'd love to see, like... Also, did you know Toycat donated $2 billion to Israel? It's true, chat. I did. Yeah, chat, have you heard about what paracetamol will do to you? Sorry, so it's called like acetaminophen or something in America, but there is a brand name that everyone calls it by, and apparently that includes the president. So, like, you know, shout outs to the marketing team for getting that done. But what's interesting is acetaminophen or Tylenol is really, really good. Apparently, you know, according to one source that is worth checking with, acetaminophen is really good for giving you autism. If you take it while you're pregnant, then your child will have. And, you know, immediately, I think it's worth asking, like, well, if that's true, given that it's the most taken drug in the world, why are Americans so anti-train? And, you know, why is it that most Minecraft fans... why is it there's more Minecraft players per capita in the UK? I'm just saying, doesn't add up at all. But I think I just got more dyslexic. Also, acetaminophen is one of my favorite words. It's one of... Honestly, it's one of the dumbest words. I think that one of the strangest things about English dialects, you know, the difference between North American English and European English. One of the weirdest things is, like, 100 years ago, there was very little communication between the two. Also, I think it's going to be a real pain to deal with that, so I'm just not going to for now. And later we can work something out. Or we can not. That's the fun. Acetaminophen, they said it's a high risk of using every 4 hours for 4 weeks. Yeah, freaking probably. I have heard a lot of people that do use it that way. Probably not while they're pregnant, to be fair. Yeah, can I say something, actually? You know, so again, I'm going to say something. I haven't looked into... apparently it was a really big deal when the guy said it. But I haven't... Like, I have no horse in the race. I have no particular interest or anything. But I do think that it is weird that most people are pretty cautious of taking most drugs. But I think ibuprofen, paracetamol, you know, Tylenol and Advil, I think if I got that right. I think it's very, very standard to just be like, yeah, you take as much as you feel like. You know, if you're feeling any amount sick for any reason whatsoever, like, yeah, you would take that. It's a miracle drug. And I think that either we should have more miracle drugs, right? We should have more things that you would take on a near daily basis. Like, my take that is controversial is that if there were really any super effective anti-acne treatment, then every manufacturer would use it. Or, you know, and they wouldn't keep making new ones, right? That's the biggest sign. Like, paracetamol is so good that we haven't had to invent a new painkiller. When you want to see a new painkiller, if you ever go to the store and you see, like, painkillers but for period cramps, it's just it's acetaminophen, but it's the exact same stuff, just in different packaging. It's so good that the only way you can change it is by making different packaging. Whereas think about burgers. Burgers are so good, but we still sort of change what it is. The meat to bun ratio in a smash burger, very, very different. So I wonder why it is that, like, you know, when you look at, like, acne or, like, even vitamins, it's not universally agreed that if you just take a vitamin B6 or a B12 or... There's no universally agreed this is the vitamin. Some people will take iron. Some people will say, oh, yeah, if you want to stay well, you want vitamin C. Which vitamin do I need to take? You know, if I'm willing... I think that any field where there's enough entrants is proof that none of them are really the very best. I should just message my mum and ask if she used Tylenol while pregnant with me. Nuance does not exist on the internet because it's either never use it, even if you have an extreme fever, or it's 100% safe, even if you overuse it. Like, dude, use it if it's needed and you'll be fine. Yeah, I don't even know where this comes from. I'm sure it's like, I have an interesting thing. I want to tell this story instead, because I learned about this story like at 2 different points in my life. My mother was very like, try not to use any drugs whatsoever. I once tried to get an assessment for something, and she saw the letter and was like, please don't go to this. I swear it'll be, and you know, like, just, we lived together, I did her a favor, I didn't go to said assessment, if you're curious. But I always was kind of curious, like, where does that come from? Is it like, you know, is it from her, like, you know, mother? Was it her mother was the same, so she assumed that's how you be a parent? And I learned later, maybe fascinatingly, that like, oh yeah, my grandmother was like very, she was very like, use drugs all the time. Do you have a cold? You'd better go to the doctor. To the point where, like, you know, my mother and all of her siblings hated it. And so I want to mention that because it's like an interesting, we, you know, like, both her and my grandmother didn't like pick like scientific views. They just kind of went like, oh yeah, this is how it should be done, I guess. Also, imagine if they brought back the old textures. It would look terrible. Nicholas Fado. Good to see you, by the way. They did bring in that new setting you were asking for, though. Isn't that nice? I hate taking meds. I should take my meds. Yes, you should. If you have any medication that's assigned to you, you should probably take it. Although even then, I would make the point. No, I won't make the point right now. Let's not give harmful misinformation today. Only Ad and Sony is allowed to do that, chat. So, chat, I love the way Toycat talks. Thank you. I love the way I talk too. So, yeah, I think it's really interesting that a lot of people kind of take like a all medicine is good all the time approach, and some people are like, oh yeah, actually it's specifically not good all the time approach. When really it should be context dependent. But I think that the only thing you should be changing is by default, are you inclined towards a drug-based solution, or are you not inclined towards a drug-based solution? I think that's the only thing that anyone should be changing or like switching up or anything like that. And I am inclined of like, even when I was like 13, I don't know where I got this from. I was like, I had my head hit by a rock, chat. I remember it. We were playing a game at the park where we just threw rocks at each other, and one of the rocks actually, I was playing with a guy who was really good at cricket, and so from across the park, like a giant kids park, he threw a rock, whacked me right in the face. And think about like the power that rock is going at if it can cross the park, and like it bloodied me up and everything. But my grandma was like, yeah, you must have like a concussion or something, etc, etc, etc. And I was just like, no, I just want to go back outside. She's like, no, take these. It's gonna be essential. And I kind of, I have this. I've never really like noticed paracetamol doing anything for me, and I think that I kind of, if I'm to give my own opinion, which, you know, how did you get me into giving misinformation here? Misinformation, but yeah, I kind of just like after that moment, I was like, yeah. If you don't need to take something, it's better not to, because then when you do need to take it, it will like work better. Basically every drug, alcohol, cigarettes, whatever included, food, maybe you could even, sugar actually is the best one. Everything that is good that a human can do feels way better if you haven't done it in a while. If you've ever seen how alcoholics drink, they have to drink the entire bottle and then they're entirely functional. They feel fine. They can drink a silly amount. And it's because, yeah, they've got full tolerance. And so if you want full tolerance, that's great. That's fine, whatever. But, yeah. Also, I wanted to go back outside. Man, I wish I had that willpower. I mean, like, it hurt, right? But it was one of those, like, and now I am hurt. I think in life, I think the most, like, hey, DNS.
Vitamins.
Which vitamins should I buy, though? You've got to tell me which ones. Also, vitamins, but not vitamins, apparently. That is what my Streamlabs bot would like to remind me of. My body becomes tolerant or allergic to most medications, which is annoying. Yeah, we've used up an entire shulker box of stone already. Wow. I figured we would bring 2. I thought 2 would be overkill. But chat, I'm so bad at estimating how much stone a project will take. Also, there's Nevrac in this one. Which is handy, actually. I think that could do with some Nevrac. It looks kind of ugly in its current form. I brought some sand, also, because I knew that one of my favorite things to do, if I ever get, like, a little bit done with a project, is to do a project that I also need to do nearby. And I think that sand could do with some placing. So let's go play some sand, chat. And then we'll come back here for the stone. I still need to worry about lighting. So I'll place a torch, like, here. And then maybe regularly along this as well. Just to be sure that nothing spawns. Because it's not fun when it does. So now we'll place the sand up and along here. It's really annoying trying to place sand in the end. Pro tip, if you place sand in... Don't place a bunch of sand in your end, because Enderman will move it around. You might think that you've solved the problem with all of your clever torching, but you've never solved the problem. There will always be Enderman, and there will always be holes in your perfect end desert. But that's just life sometimes, isn't it? Nope, don't change the way you say vitamins. Please go back to saying acetaminophen. It's definitely acetaminophen. Why does this feel like exactly the sort of game that Toycat would play? I mean, this is the same man who tried to pet a rat and set his arm on fire. So many things in life. I think that something I wouldn't have ever said about myself, but it's true, is it like I believe that you can define people by the big 5 traits, and I think I'm surprisingly open to experience. Like, you could tell. In school, there was this, like, funny, like, taboo thing of where, like, you know, you turn 13, and people start to be like, so what about drugs, huh? And so many people would be like, yeah, I'm so excited to do them. And a lot of people would be like, oh no, but haven't you watched all those videos our parents made us watch? You'll literally die in a hole. And it would just be like, well, I mean, I don't feel any way about this, and I'm confused why all of you do. I'm very curious why some of you feel so strongly the way that you do. I've always felt that way a little bit. Like, so many people have such a deep revulsion to certain things, and I've wondered, like, how does that, like, happen to you? I think there's very little in my life that I'm, like, deeply disgusted by. Probably for the best. Probably for the best. Do you have a challenge? How is placing 10,000 blocks entertainment, says the simplifier? Great question. You see, to roll... Thank you for giving us an opportunity to go back into the discussion about art, the simplifier. I think that one of the things I find to be really interesting are projects that are kind of tricky on the micro. Or, you know, tricky even, maybe the opposite of tricky. Very basic on the micro, but very interesting and complicated on the macro. I love Minecraft as a sometimes like a busy game, like a cookie clicker game. I like building things and coming up with things sometimes. But I also love the idea that I can do a simple action 10,000 times, and then it's become not a simple action. Just now in doing this, you can see that my desert has now expanded, and that's kind of cool. You're not meant to have a desert in the end, fun fact. But yet here I have one anyway. Isn't that fun? Drugs, no thanks. I'll take, I have PlayStation controller cables. Oh yeah. PlayStation controller cables taste so good. I swear to God, this is a thing people won't experience now that controllers are wireless. You're not gonna chew the charging cable because you know that eventually, eventually you won't be able to charge anymore. It's, oh man, yeah, okay. That's a good memory right there. I also remember, like, if you, like, lick your skin and then put a laptop cable on it, it would give you, like, a real, like, zzz. It was good. It was good stuff. Yeah, I think that if I was, like, really trying to describe it, I would say I'm, like, open to experience. And being open to experience is how you experience the best and the worst of life. And so, like, I think, I heard someone describe it this way, and I've internalized it, even though I don't know if I agree. I don't know if it's, like, clinically true or anything. But I think that introversion and extroversion are kind of extensions of how good and how bad you feel about good and bad social interactions. If you don't feel bad when a social interaction goes poorly, but you do feel good when it goes well, you'll probably talk to a bunch of people. Whereas the inverse is true. If you feel really bad when a social interaction goes poorly, then you will really try to avoid talking to people. Because think about how bad it could get. You know, in the same way, I probably wouldn't throw rocks at each other and my friends in the park anymore. If only because of the fact that if I throw rocks at my friends in the park, then I might hit them in the face, and that would make me feel really bad. I know how bad it feels. But also, I might get hit in the face, and at this age, maybe that kills me. I don't know. But, like, I probably wouldn't do it again, because I've done it, and I know how bad it feels. And so if you've ever had, like, a super awkward interaction, in the inside, you're like, I am dying inside. I never want to do this again. Why did I even do this? Why did I leave my house at all? It's like a, you know, like a real common kind of feeling that people get. And so, also, you need to recreate the Pillars of Fortune house from the last stream in your Let's Play world. That is a fun idea. You're right. Also, does it even look that much better? I'm going to be honest, after placing all of that pale dirt, it doesn't. I think I might be best focusing on the outside ring first and then moving on to the inside later. That's one of the cool things about working on something else, is this, like, perspective you get, in my opinion. I miss being ignorant of my own mortality. Yeah, I do think dying as a child is probably better. I think you probably die, like, there's a point where you know how much in life there is to, like, you know, when you're a child, you kind of look forward to growing up, but just because you know that good stuff is coming. You don't actually know what the good stuff is, though. Whereas, like, if I find out I have 5 years to live, which is, like, a really long time, no one ever gets that much knowledge, I would be like, man, there is enough stuff in life that I could do over 50. What am I going to do in 5, you know? I think it's even a struggle of, like, you know, if you've got 5 years to live, you know, like, what do? You actually have to make a plan of it. Whereas, you know, if you're going to be 5 years to live as a 13-year-old, I'd be like, awesome. Sounds like I don't need to go to school anymore. Sounds like everyone's going to give me a bit of sympathy, and I'm going to get to go on the fast lines at the theme park. I hope. I mean, I'd be disappointed if they didn't. It sounds like there's going to be a celebrity who's going to fulfill a wish for me. You know, if I was growing up today, that's what I'd feel like. I'd be like, oh yeah, I can tell Will Arnett that I want him to play Minecraft with me, and he's going to feel bad enough that he's going to have to. Heck yeah, go me. But yeah, Dead Coral fans will make great dead grass. Also, I've been recently informed that responding to a friend's story with your own example, so they know you understand, isn't actually socially acceptable. Oh, that's a really tricky one, Kat. So, see, that's an example of why people feel really bad, and that's why I would say people feel introverted or extroverted. A lot of people would say they are introverted because they are worried about moments like that one. They are worried about the, oh yeah, I made a big social faux pas and really hurt someone. You know, like that's like the most common case, I would say, even. And yeah, I think that I think a lot of people actually do get like, oh yeah, I went through a similar thing, but let's get back to your thing real quick. But it is like, there are certain like rules of conversation. I think this is why, particularly if you're talking about autism, right? I think there's a lot of rules of conversation that aren't obvious, but that everyone expects everyone to know anyway. In fact, I think rules that aren't obvious that people expect everyone to know are like one of the most common stresses about any social situation. But yeah, I think that it's actually like I think it really depends on the person as to whether it's rude or not. I think there are certain stories where you're like, oh yeah, you saying you've gone through that makes me feel less special. Like if I said, oh yeah, I just won the lottery, don't say, yeah, I won the lottery in 1997. It was for double as much money. Also, you smell bad today. You know, like I think that is a bad response. But if someone says, oh man, I just got my phone stolen, you'd be like, yeah man, that sucks so bad. It happened to me, and it's like the worst feeling in the world. What should we do about this together? You know, something like that. Like, I think that it is one of those like tricky. What do you do about it? Can someone make a normie guide to socializing or something? Sounds like a video idea for me. Yeah, Toy Cat, what are your thoughts on the Switch 2? I like it a lot. But I think the Switch 2 is it's been a good console for me so far. I've been enjoying it. It is I do think though, having used it enough, I'm like, you know, is the Switch 2 good, or is it just something new? I am starting to get I want to have like genuinely new features to play around with that feel like they are fun. It feels like gaming isn't able to like get those for me. So the Switch 2 is just like, oh, this is what the Switch 1 should have been. But it's like, well, that's nice, but it'd be cool if there was something like fresh entirely. Brave, you consider yourself a normie? Whoa! See, that's a social faux pas, Cat. You can't tell people they're not normies if they assert that they are. But yeah, I think I think a lot of people who are extroverted actually just like when a situation goes well and don't mind that bad when it goes poorly. I think what helped me be more extroverted, chat, is I started doing vlogs in public. I did it because I thought, you know, it's worth it for the content. You know, if you're curious, it was second channel videos mostly. But I started doing them because it was worth it for the content. And I kind of realized, like, it's actually kind of fun in a piece of video when an awkward moment happens. So an awkward moment went from being, I will feel bad about this forever, to, oh yeah, this will be cool to look back on later. And as I go through enough of them, I realized that awkward moments are like, actually, once you understand an awkward moment is happening, you can deal with it really well. And like, that's actually like a skill and something that is like a good thing in its own right. Okay, so look how much better it looks now, chat. Just a small amount of sand placing makes the whole thing look so much better. We are going to run out of sand, so I'll prioritize this left area because it's a bit more visible. But I think we did a great job. I'm proud. Also, Riley says, yeah, being extroverted comes with the side effect of needing to shrug off poor, awkward interactions. You just learn to go with the flow. Yeah, I think that's what you've got to do. You've got to be like, oh, yeah, okay. Well, if you're not enjoying this, then okay, let's move on. Whereas some people would be like, oh god, they're not enjoying it. Why are they not enjoying it? Is it something that I did? Am I wrong? Am I a bad person? Why was I even born? Whereas it's easy. I think spiraling is a big thing there. But yeah, I am not normal and admit that, says Coit. That's healthy. Admit it. Knowing when you are and when you aren't normal is probably important. I think though I think it's rude to assert that someone else is normal. Isn't normal, maybe. I don't know. I'm joking. I like Kat a lot. She could do a lot worse and I wouldn't be offended. Was there a fever dream of mine, or did you go around interviewing people about Minecraft at some point? Yeah, I watched that video again recently. Yeah, that was a good video. That was a great video. One of the best. Tell us you have social anxiety without telling us. But I would say, I would make the point specifically. Okay, so that goes here. I'd make the point specifically that getting over, okay, so social anxiety is kind of about learning to understand and minimize. Also, I don't like that there are Endermen here. They should not be here. They're going to move around so much of the sand in the village. But let's just fix it, chat. Let's just fix it. And then hope that they will go away after we fix it. They probably will not go away after we have fixed it. That is a concern for me. I think they'll pick up fewer sand now than they used to, because that is a big problem that used to happen more than it does right now. Okay, there we go. Let's head back out here, fix up some of the corners, and ideally just get the Endermen so they're not even located. So, yeah, back to my my point there. I interviewed a bunch of people on the street, and it's a really good video because it's so awkward. I think that it is I think that it's a piece of, you know, maybe performance art, you could say. Because I go out and I do something that is hard, and I do something that no one would want to do, and I think I make a decent video. I think genuinely I managed to get some really interesting insight out of people, and I like that, because I think if I just made an awkward video, that would be fun in its own right. But the problem with just making an awkward video is like, okay, and now I've, that it's not nice for other people when you're awkward either. But most people were like, oh yeah, this is a really good point you raised. Like, the Minecraft chat reporting controversy got them to think about who it is that gets to decide on rules for anything. Ask anyone on the street, like, oh yeah, do you think like police should be able to stop people if they believe that those people are up to no good? And, you'll get some answers. But then you say, but what about this? And what about that? And you'll eventually realize, like, oh yeah, people have an assumption, a set of assumptions about what you mean there. I got a lot better at socializing once I gave less of a crap about embarrassing myself. Embrace the cringe. Yeah, exactly. I think it's the concept of a death loop is not just when I play Minecraft. It's the negative feedback loop is so real in so many parts of life. And what better an example than socializing and thinking it's going poorly, and in your mind psyching yourself out about how poorly it's going. And then you will do way worse because you're so stressed about how bad it's going. I think when you're stressed about anything, it goes a lot worse, is a general rule. Like, chat, do you want to know something weird? Before I record any of my videos where it's like a long take, I kind of like mentally rehearse in my head. And I always do like a bunch of different takes from like, I start talking, it doesn't go well. I think for like things where I'm like, I have to say this thing in this way, it's stressful. I'll be on like my 15th take. I saw someone today, again, while I was just researching some Roger Badgerman stuff. As it turns out, one of the people who has the most detailed videos about it is me. So when you're talking about, when you're trying to learn other people's opinions to reference this video, my own video comes up. And there'll be people that are like, he looks like he just got back from a run. I don't know why he looks so sweaty or why his hair looks like that. Yeah, it'd be like the dumb sort of like, I don't even know why it's here. And it wasn't even like meant to attack me. Like when I get a comment that is like super negative, it's like, yeah, they are trying to be mean to me by talking to me. But when it's on the internet, it hits different. It feels bad. This is just what people really believe because they're not trying to say it to you. They're saying it to each other, right? And so I think that like being really stressed about that is like kind of understandable. Like evolutionarily, I always talk about this, but like it makes sense that most people do not enjoy being, like not liked by their peers. It is probably a good thing if you are that way. But also, I think, also did you hear that? The sand sounds started to like desync for a second. I wonder if that was the start of something negative. The best Q&A Toycat video is where he removes the Q and the A, and the Saturday eventually is and, so the whole video is him staring at the camera. See, that is a video, Balo. That is a piece of art, right? That video was me saying, how much better would Q&A Saturday be if instead of answering questions, I just gave answers to my own questions? Or what if I didn't even answer questions? I just gave answers. And then I realized, what if we removed the answers as well? And then that made a video where I did nothing for the same amount of time as a Q&A. It's just 13 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, staring at the camera. And it's fun to see because it's like, yeah, you remove this element and it's still fine. You remove this element, it's a bit weird. You remove both these elements and all of a sudden you've just made a monstrosity. And I think that is hugely interesting. So I need to use the rest of this sand somewhere, right? I'm going to pick up this shulker box because now it's mine to use again. And I'm just going to, I don't know, like place my sand. I think this isn't the best place for the sand, funnily enough. I do think we need some more torches as we go around, especially on the sandstone. But I think the best place for the sand probably is this side. There's a little patch over there that could be changing. I forgot about that video. I kind of want to watch it. But yeah, chat, I love... So, what is the value in that? Is it good? Is it art because it is something that is different? Is it art because it is something that we all kind of understand? That you can, take away the right number of things from something and it becomes worthless. Like a burger, to name my one of my favorite foods that I'm always thinking about. A burger, chat, is, I am a burger. I've said it before, but we'll leave that aside for now. But a burger is something that is really, really good. The patties, the cheese, the the bread, especially if it's good bread, and then some like tomatoes, lettuce, and sauce. You take away the sauce, it's still a cheeseburger. You take away the cheese, it's still a burger. A lot of people like their cheeseburgers without cheese, funnily enough. But you take away the cheese, you take away the sauce, and you take away everything, and you're left with something that just doesn't inspire anymore. It's the same with pizza. I am such a hater for the tomato sauce on a pizza. But if you ever have a pizza without tomato sauce, you're like, yeah, bread and cheese. Bread and melted cheese in particular. By the way, I have a bunch of armadillos here, and they've made 7 skeets because they obviously aren't growing while I'm not. Just if you want to know a fun fact. I've also got camels out here, which I will now ride across my island, just back into the center here. It's very silly to have camels in the desert, but that's what makes it so fun. Yeah, I think that. Also, I'm going to start moving some of this sand back into its correct place, if we can, and hopefully making it a better place. So anyway, chat, yeah, I think that you remove enough elements from anything and it starts to break, and it's fun to work out like what are those elements. So that's kind of the same idea behind why I like removing structures, and I think one of the things I like to explore on the channel is like. The goofy answers to questions you probably didn't know you would like to ask. I think honestly that for a while that was like the secret to a good YouTube video to go maybe even go a bit further here. So I'm gonna put my I've already got my stone shulker box down over here. I'm now going to grab a lot of stone and we're going to deliberately put it in this section. Is the burger come back in the end update? Giant, says Duckserd. That is the least legible comment I've ever read. Thank you for leaving it anyway, though. I know it takes time and effort to leave a comment. Thank you for leaving me of yours. Next time, if I could understand it, I would like it even more, though. So let's just grow a tree here. And then let's place some stone around it. So, yeah, I think, I read, like, a really interesting... like disagreement about what the point of art is, which was like to some extent is to say like, you know, it's kind of like the maths debate. Is maths invented or has it always been around us? Does like do interesting ideas like inherently exist waiting to be found, or is it that they are all created? And you know, like obviously if we say a really interesting idea to me, chat, was placing so I have this fixed-sized island in my end dimension, and I agreed that for every $1 that I was tipped, or maybe it was for every member, I think it was for every $1 tipped, I would build I would have a pale oak sapling planted. And so I thought it was a kind of fun video because, a fun idea, because if like no one tips, or if I get $4 or 4 trees, then it's a really empty pale garden. If too many people tip, then it's a really overly full pale garden. The size of the pale garden is not decided by any one person, but by the collective wisdom of the crowd. I always love doing those like I love doing pay to win streams, partially because I love payment in exchange for winning. But you know, like I usually, you know, like the way YouTube pays out, like it's not like I get to go and buy 12 lobster rolls the next day. It's like, yeah, I get to then see the weirdness that has been created by this, and I've always loved that. The Toy Cat of Theseus. It's an interesting one. So, also, it's good to see you here, Deshi. How are you doing? How much of Toy Cat's limbs can we remove before he stops being Toy Cat? That's a really interesting question. I think that genuinely you could remove all of my limbs. If I was just a brain in a box. Like, as far as you are concerned right now, watching this video, you know, Deshi excluded because, you know, he's probably seen me. He's seen what he believes to be me in real life, at least. If we ask the interesting question, though, of like, okay, so I'm going to have to place a thing on here. Little pale moss carpet. It's going to be valuable. So we're going to do it. I think I have some pale... I don't have any pale moss, so I'll have to grab some to actually grow this over here. Yeah, I think that... I think as far as anyone watching this stream is concerned, I'm just a brain. And even then, there's so much AI content that am I even a brain, chat? Like, am I a brain to you, or am I a series of pixels in a 1920 by 1080 grid? Like, do you like does it actually, like, if I was AI chat, would you be upset? Would you, if you found out right now that for the last 10 years I've been using a super advanced video creation engine that was made in a lab in Russia? You know, the reason we have a Russian in this stream, despite the fact that you don't see them in a lot of the internet, is because, you know, she is my creator. Beep boop, you know, has to monitor what I'm saying to make sure I don't accidentally reveal that I'm AI. No, don't unplug me. Sorry, but like, if you found out I was an AI, would it really be that upsetting to you? Would it change anything? Like, I feel like the instinctive answer is yes, but is the actual answer still yes? Is our connection any less real? Because, you know, like, if I was dead, would it change anything? If I'd recorded every one of these videos and streams in advance, and then everyone who you see me responding to, either they're a plant or I'm good at their predicting their comment, would that matter? What is the difference between someone who is dead and someone who is a robot? There is the same amount of life in what you're seeing. The only difference would be the artistic... I'd be distraught, says Chantal. That's sad. But the only difference is the artistic value, right? That it's coming from a human is what you would say is the difference there. But then, if you think it comes from a human, is that the same as coming from a human? You know, that's the... I think that's the question that, like, all tech companies are hoping that you'll answer with a yeah, I don't really care. Sadly, I think that, interestingly, like, when people say, like, you can never replace a human with AI, I think you can never replace a good, or even, at this point, okay human with AI. But I think, like, the reason people see so many of those AI Reddit recap videos is because, like, yeah, stealing content and moving it from one platform to another is a job so easy it can be done by artificial intelligence. I mean, would save me my monthly membership fee. Wait, you wouldn't give me money if you found out I was AI? What changes? Should I... Okay, I'm not AI. Whoa, yeah. Me, I'm so real. I live at 119 Brick Road in Streets in East West London. West East London. That's I'm real. I haven't eaten dinner yet, but I am hungry. Oh yeah, I could do with some food. Me love biological human slop. Okay, thank God. I think I've saved it. Yeah, no, you said if you were dead. Oh, but if I'm dead, you're not going to contribute. So, John of the Dad. Okay, this is a really interesting discussion to have as an artist. So, like, I'm lucky in that I don't have, like, I don't have any kids, that, like, you know, like, I don't have any, you know, like, I think that genuinely it's, like, children or pets where you make the commitment, like, no matter what, you'll be looked after. That's why people will get into debt to buy a surgery for their dog, right? It's because when you bought that dog, you didn't say, yeah, I'll look after you until the bill gets too high. You buy the dog whatever surgery he needs. It's one of your obligations as a pet owner. I think that if I did have an animal or children, or maybe even both, or, you know, like, let's imagine that, like, you know, like, what if there's just someone who's been living with me long enough that they don't have any viable skills anymore? Then, like, is it not my responsibility to look after them posthumously? Which, as a result of the way this job works, is kind of yours. Like, if I died, you should still ideally watch my videos with YouTube Premium, or, you know, like, or whatever. You should still, you know, watch them to the end so they show up in the algorithm, or whatever way you would support a channel while I'm alive. Ideally, you would support it that way when I'm dead, because if you don't support the channel when I'm dead, there is less money for my, you know, grieving widow or children, or my cat. Do you want my cat to not be able to afford surgery? Is that what it is, John of the Dad? In the parasocial relationship, we pay for the content. I mean, if your offspring picked up the mantle, I would be in. Yeah, it's a so one of the first YouTubers I started watching was that died was Total Biscuit. And he like, he was quite early into the YouTube game. Like, he did things before YouTube. And so it meant when he died, he was like, oh, yeah, I have a wife. How do we look after her? And the answer they thought they'd come up with, the answer they used for that question, was she can take my place on my podcast. I thought that was a really interesting one. But, like, I don't know if they'd thought about it or not. So because they were like, yeah, we got a podcast that has hundreds of thousands of listeners. It is one of the most listened to podcasts out there. So she'll be able to sell ads on it or like whatever it is she has to do. But, you know, the one thing he failed to realize was that, like, a lot of people, you listen to a podcast because you like the people on it. Like, if I sold my channel, chat, in the old way, not the modern way where I sell to private equity and then they pay me to continue operating on it. If I sold my channel and then John Minecraft takes it over, you probably aren't going to want to see what he has to say about anything because you didn't subscribe to John Minecraft. You subscribe to me. It's the reason why when, you know, like a lot of when people do want to stop doing a YouTube channel, they have to slowly phase themselves out. Like who is it? What's the name of the guy? Matt Pat from the achievement theorist, the game theorist. That's what it is. He's got an achievement logo. That's where I was getting that mixed up. But what he did was he slowly started introducing co-hosts for sections of the video. And so this is what I watched some Veritasium. This is what he's doing right now. He's slowly trying to have another personality, because if you don't have other personalities, you don't have something that can exist past your ability to make content. You know, I guess put it this way, to kind of like go deeper into my thoughts from my video about private equity I made this week, or like 2 weeks ago. If you own if you own a convenience store that requires you to be there every day, or like a McDonald's franchise, you're not a business owner. You have a job that happens to pay you in, you know, shares of the business. But the only time you have a business that is actually worth money, that you know, like you can argue, the only time you go from being a worker to a capitalist, the only time you go from the, I don't know, what is it, the working class to the bourgeoisie, the plebs to the bourgeoisie, is if you can have capital that actually, like, can, you know, like, can produce its own value. The McDonald's idea is so valuable that even without Ray Kroc or the McDonald's brothers, it's worth billions, right? Whereas, you know, I think Trump's an interesting example of, he's worth $5 billion, but the moment he dies, $4 billion of that value will evaporate, because whether you believe this is or not, it's up to you. But he says publicly that off his $5 billion net worth, because he claims to be, and I think he's the richest president either way, but off his wealth, it's like a lot of it is in his personal brand, which is to say you wouldn't buy Trump steaks or whatever he sells. I don't know. You wouldn't go to a Trump hotel if Trump wasn't a liar. I mean, maybe I feel like specifically people who go there not because of him. So that might be the. I'm trying not to be too spicy here, chat, but I'm trying to say that you have a bad brand if your brand only exists because of you. Because the idea of a brand is that you have something. And so, like, that's one of the ways in which I am a old school YouTuber and not a new school YouTuber. Is that, like, I am lucky that I don't have to think too deep about, you know, if I die. I try not to, at least. I hope that I get that 5-year notice. You know what's fun, chat, though? Like, I think a lot of people would quit their jobs if they had 5 years to live. I would be sure that that's a thing. Also, I doubt Toycat will ever let another personality on the channel. Yeah, I think if I really needed to, you know, like, quit or slow down or whatever else, I think the way you would do it is you make a new channel, and then, like, you know, with co-hosts, and then hope that they take over or something like that. You know, like, I think that you can certainly get your job as a YouTuber down to, like, a lot more manageable if you have the right people around you. Because, you know, I do a lot of things on my YouTube channel that theoretically don't need to be done by me. Like, I don't... I've tried having... back when YouTube was all about adding production value, I tried having a couple of script writers. And honestly, I think my videos flow better when they're not scripted. I think that the thing that helped most was having, like, an outline for them. But there are, like, not doing my own editing is one of the reasons why I've been able to keep up almost daily uploads for this many years without just having to massively drop the like the quality of what I'm talking about, or never going and leaving my house. Okay, we went deep. Also, congrats on 1.94 million IBX Toycats stealth. Thank you. Yeah, we did in fact hit 1.94 million. And I used to find it dumb to get caught up on the small milestones. But subscribers are a very hard to come by thing on YouTube these days. Fewer people subscribe to channels that they like, and fewer people find channels of this type. You know, the whole thing I mentioned about old school YouTube. It's like, yeah, if you like this channel, you like it already, or you know about this sort of YouTube channel already. It's quite tricky to find a whole new audience for that. I just realized the title says Pale Forest instead of Pale Garden. No, it doesn't. It says Pale Garden. What are you talking about? I think that you're crazy. You might need to get your eyes checked. Perhaps you should drive to Barnard Castle. Trump has a cult personality, and those rarely continue after the personality dies. I think there's a... Like, if you ever look at, like, I'm not saying this is, like, a comparable thing, but if you look at, like, authoritarian regimes in a lot of countries, it's easy for someone to take over the mantle. So, I don't think it's the same thing at all. But, when there's a really popular leader, in a similar vein in the UK, there was, even when he stood down, he tried his best to, like, then run to be leader. He couldn't be leader. But then the two candidates who were vying to replace him, because we have it's kind of like a primary system for prime minister, but like the party votes on who they want to be leader. The two people who wanted to replace him, one was the I'm going to do things differently candidate, and one was the I'm going to do exactly what Boris would have done candidate. And then that guy won, or that woman won. Don't look up what happened to her. Gaslighting is free with your subscription to the channel. That's right, get a free subscription to Gaslighting. Use code TOYCAT for absolutely nothing off, because that's what you deserve. Okay, so let's now place a little bit more stone around here. I am impressed at how beefy of a task this is, by the way, chat. I am genuinely quite impressed by that. How do eye blossoms work in the end? Oh, that's a really fun question. Jose, yes. Genuinely, there are some questions in Minecraft. Like, I love testing weird things in Minecraft. But it's really, genuinely, one of the hardest things about testing weird things in Minecraft is getting good questions. I love questions like that. Here's my opinion about business. If the business you are doing does not depend on you, then there's no point in owning it. Anyone else could do it instead of you. Oh, yeah, that's on a... so, Bearded Man, I think you're talking really well about the concept of, like, of receiving value from the things you do in life. Like, if the business doesn't rely on you, then what's even the point? Like, you're subjecting yourself to unnecessary torture or work, right? But, like, the same is true for how most people do most jobs, right? Like, you know that if you quit your job at Starbucks, they'll probably replace you. They won't be like, well, the Starbucks in Eugene is just not ever going to be able to survive without this. I also lol that woman. Yeah, we won't talk about that woman. I'm sure she did a great job. We would have heard about her if she didn't do a great job, right? We would have heard something about her by now. I'm sat here picking up and spooping up my broken glass bottle. My life is met. This is the most exciting thing to happen in a few weeks. Yeah, I think you need to add moments of excitement to your own life. I think your life should feel exciting, and I think that your life should feel like you have purpose. I think your life should feel like the things you are doing, you are uniquely qualified to do in some way. One of the things I feel bad about doing, chat, is I love it's funny because I play so much Minecraft, but I don't like background gameplay that is I like background gameplay to be like a particular thing, but I also feel like sometimes I really don't want to record it, and I think to myself, like, why do I have such a mental block on just like the easiest part of making a video should just be now we play Minecraft for 10 minutes so there's something to talk over, but I get like a real mental block on it sometimes because I'm like, I should be doing something only I can do, You know, some of my favorite background videos have been one of my editors, like, you know, building Juan the cow, for example. So when I'm doing it myself, I'm like, this makes me feel bad because someone could be doing this better, and I could be doing something no one else can be doing. You know, I think it's one of the reasons why we often see service jobs, you know, the Starbucks or the working in a pub or a restaurant sort of thing. I think it's why we see those as being, like, starting positions, is because, like, I've always got to remember when there's a thing there or not. I think that's why we see them as, like, entry level or whatever people like to say, like, career beginnings and not endings. Is because you're like, yeah, you rarely get fulfillment from a job where you feel replaceable. I think people like to be in situations where they are doing something that feels like only they could be doing it, or at least that they are one of the very few people who could be doing it. My life being boring is 100% my fault. I've got a mental block to do things right now. Depression relapse at this point, the same thing for me. Yeah, so again, I'm not going to compare it to what sounds like a clinical condition you have there, but like, I was just feeling super down today, and I kind of just wanted to be like, okay, then, let's give up. Let's just play, you know, Hollow Knight sounds fun to me. I'll just do the dumb little tasks in Hollow Knight. It'll be kind of like working, but way easier, and I can lay on the sofa rather than having to think too hard. You know, I had the thought of doing that, but I think it's... What am I standing in? You can't stand in tall grass if you grow it on yourself? Or is it like maybe the moss? There's something... Oh yeah, look at that, chat. Something weird is happening. I think if you moss the block you're on, it messes up a lot. Yeah. Useful to know. Anyway, so I think I'm out of stone now. I think I have a little bit more to give. I think I brought 2 whole shulker boxes with me, and 2 whole shulker boxes was far too few. I thought Cat was a sociologist. Cat, are you a sociologist? Unless you're saying me. Speaking of me, let's see if we recognize any names. Do I see you in here? I know I'll spot some. I'm looking in the chat. I'm cross-referencing it. I'm gonna quickly be like, oh, Simple Simon. That's a fun one. We wrote some on the back of these, which I think is silly. Oh, Merry Streammas. I can't believe it was Streammas last year that I did this. So, yeah, I'm now going to... I guess I'll just pick this up. There's no need to have that there anymore. I'm now going to try and get the most out of the stone blocks that I have and the bone meal that I have. But, yeah, that'll be where we end up. Damn, it was a good bottle as well. The glass was thick. I think you are very close to crying over spilt milk right now. And if there's one thing that life will teach you, it's that is one of the few things that has no use. You know, there's a lot of things in life that have no use, but that is particularly earmarked as one of them. Whew. It's Rebecca White's birthday. Happy birthday, Rebecca White! Happy birthday to Rebecca. Rebecca White it's her birthday. Rebecca White birthday is the now, yes. Birthday, yes. Rebecca White is Mus. Great. Wonderful. Nailed it. Couldn't do anything better there, I think. Okay, so now I'm just going to fill up this little section, and that should get us surprisingly far. I'm going to obviously put one of those blocks there. And then this should just make the corners look a little bit better. And ultimately, I'm kind of learning that the corners are what matter more than anything else. Sad though that may be. Okay, so let's get in here. So chat, I've got so many shulker boxes of stone. I think I might need to use like 4 more of these shulker boxes to replace my stone, you know, replace my end stone with pale moss. But the end result is pretty cool at least. Yeah, so fill that all the way up to there. Now let's go inland a bunch, because this is also placing blocks. I said placing 10,000 blocks. I've placed 5,000 of them, and now I'm going to slowly turn some of the ones that I've placed into other ones. You could argue this isn't placing blocks, and it's not placing blocks by hand, but I am replacing blocks, which counts as placing because it's got the same words in it. So I can't making his own end biomes. Let's change the Let's change the title to Making End Biomes because Mojang moan. That's a classic one. There we go. Oh, I should have saved the old title. So let's okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this over here, and then we'll put this over here, and then we'll put this back over there. And yeah, it's a shame. Also, IBX Toycat, do more live streams. Happy Kittens, do you really want more live streams? I genuinely, chat, I really struggle with live streams as a concept. Like, the only way I can convince myself to make live streams is by convincing myself to make 2-hour-long YouTube videos that happen to be live. You know, like, I'm interacting with live chat, so that's, like, that's a thing. But one of the things that I think is really important, one of my, like, deeply held values, one of my deeply held beliefs and wants is, like, the desire not to be forgotten. You know, you can call that legacy, you can call that whatever else. It's one of the reasons why I like making interesting things, because even once the reason that I made the interesting thing is gone, the interesting thing still remains. One day, you know, I might be gone, but hopefully some of the things that I've made survive. But streams are doing the opposite of that. Streams are like having a conversation on the internet that is immediately gone once you've done it. And that's not true on YouTube, sure, I get it. But that I like making streams that people want to watch after, because otherwise, if the stream becomes worthless the moment it's over, then how much value did it really have when it was live? So I like making streams at, like, I do like 2 or 3 a week. But do you really want more than that? Like, do you watch every single one that is 2 hours? Do you have 2 spare hours on a Wednesday where you're like, why didn't Toycat stream today? I would love if the answer is yes, and I would love if we, you know, I think I would enjoy. I think I like streaming in terms of, like, the effort in versus out. You know, we talk about a bit of philosophy. We talk about a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of... I feel like, as someone who is, you know, like, enjoys... I love that Jose earlier was like, oh yeah, how do eye blossoms work in the end? I love having conversations that lead to interesting thoughts like that. But at the same time, I'm hungry, by the way, chat. I streamed a bit early today. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I moved the stream time half an hour early, and then I was 15 minutes late, which made it 15 minutes early, which is basically half an hour early because Toycat late time. Anyway, but so we're gonna throw this over here and this over there. Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I think. Sorry, one sec. Had to check that wasn't something important. I reached the 10-hour live stream beating Peaceful Minecraft. I did a 10-hour live stream to beat Peaceful Minecraft. Is that, like, I'm guessing I had to walk all the way to the end. Okay. Beating Peaceful. So, I'll search Peaceful. I'm sure I haven't played Peaceful that many times on my channel. There are 6 videos on my channel with Peaceful in the title. And 1 short. And 2 live streams. It's a 4-hour stream. Oh, you liar. Terrible. Unless it's a different stream that I beat that took me 12 hours. What do you mean? You're never late for streams. I know. I'm sorry, Justin Delisle. Is that the one with Jeff the Horse? Yeah, Jeff the Horse. You know it. You know it. Yeah, I really like... The reason I think that was fun is because it's the same with, like, speedrunning or anything else. Like, what I like is, like, this isn't just for the sake of now, it's for the sake of later. The reason that I started to dislike speedrunning is because as way more people did it, your odds of having a really good run went from, say, 1 in 50 down to 1 in 500 down to 1 in 5 million. Because people started, you know, loading up 10 seeds at a time and, you know, running seed loaders. It started to become like, oh yeah, if you want to do this and have it be noteworthy, you won't. That is the answer as to how you're going to do it. Jeff the Horse. Yeah, Jeff the Horse. And Toycat the Human. But What about the iTroll chat stream? I wish the raw stream was still available. Still one of my favorites. Still one of my favorites. It's a shame I probably couldn't get away with doing it anymore. But yeah, I think to me, I love creating things that I feel like if you create something that doesn't have value after you're done, then I don't think it had value while you were doing it. It was just there. And I try my best to not do those if I can. So, Kat, what are your thoughts on Silksong? I heard the discourse about how it's too hard, and I was like, yeah, it's always hard, but I always get over it. It's not as bad as people are, but like, no, I've been having a moment where I'm just like, this is too much. This is I could do with a game that was a little bit less of whatever this is right now, please. So I'm gonna take one of these, and I'm gonna move it into this space here, and then I'm gonna grow up these trees. I'd argue this is probably a better place for trees, but we'll work that out later. There we go. Wonderful. There we go. Oh, no. Probably just those getting in the way. No. Is it these? It's got to be something weird. Why is this tree not growing, chat? I'm going to look up. Going to remove all the ones that look like they might intersect. And then we're going to go again. Nope. Okay, what about these blocks? What about these blocks? Okay, try again. There we go. So yeah, these pale garden trees are way too close together compared to normal. But that is part of what makes them beautiful. Where's the unique drinking glass that's definitely not a soap dispenser? I think a fun idea, chat. Ooh. If I could choose one YouTube channel to watch for the rest of my life, it would be IBX Toy Cat. Thank you, Happy Kittens. Yeah, I think it's really easy when you make anything to be like, yeah, okay. So that weird bug thing just killed me. If I didn't have an Elytra, that would be true at least. Oh, like 5 days have passed while I've been here, chat. It was like 7173 just before I started the stream. Maybe I slept though. So yeah, this is a nice little biome we've made. Actually, let's get a real look around it. It looks much... Oh, we haven't actually got these corners filled in yet. So let's make sure we get those. That's like a lot of the point of doing this. No point going inland if we haven't gone outland. Saying skill issue to myself actually kind of helps me improve. Yeah, it's a bit of a meme, but it really is one of my like core beliefs that like even when things seem like they are entirely outside your control, believing they are in your control will help you a lot, because some of the things you want to believe are outside your control aren't, and some of the things, even the things that are outside your control, it doesn't help you to think, well, there's nothing I could do, therefore I'll do nothing. I'm like quite a realist on a lot of things. And one of those things is like, what can your reaction be? You know, finding out that something is unfair is one thing, but your reaction to that is the important thing. You know, my reaction to like, oh yeah, I think that the way speedruns are working is not necessarily it's not making for compelling stuff. We're kind of like pushing the definition of what vanilla is for the sake of, you know, beating it faster. Then the only option is to say like, okay, I've got my own little thing going on over here. If it is not in my control what other people believe, then I will just believe my own thing, rather than saying like, let's go all out war on people who ultimately just wanted to have fun with the game. But yeah, I really liked the like doing something that has never been done in Minecraft stuff before. They're some of my favorite like streams too. If you enjoy looking at the back, that's why. So chat, I do have a bit of a conundrum. I haven't eaten yet because what I really want in my life, I love sandwiches, chat, and I really love a fancy. I love fancy items that are reduced so that they cost less. It's one of the fallacies that we all fall for. But there's a there's a big store in central London. It's a big Marks and Spencer's where they do a bunch of stuff, and it's all reduced at the end of the day. And you know, even though you could probably argue like, Toy Cat, if you like it so much, why not just buy the sandwich at full price? I would say shush to that, and instead say that there is a thing that draws me in, which is why the stream was early. But it means that if I need to get there, I do need to leave in the next 5 to 10 minutes, chat. So I'm going to say, or ideally even before that, I'm going to say that I think we did a pretty good job today. But I also realize what I love about like spending one of these like 90-minute sessions here is that we placed 5,000 blocks down and bone milled about 2/3 of that, right? So I've placed very close to 10,000 blocks today, but because the project is so big, it makes a huge visual difference to the outside. But to actually finish it all the way on the inside probably takes me another 6 hours. So here's the question I want to leave you with, chat. Here's the question. Also, where it tastes better reduced. I think every supermarket does it, but I've gotten to the point where I've had enough bad sandwiches from a Tesco. It's got to be like the upper crust. It's got to be like the best of the best sandwiches. Like meal deals, because they were fixed prices for so long, they had to like quality decrease because people don't notice that as much. Anyway, though, it's a dangerous thing. You'll get used to the luxury. Yeah, I sometimes think that. Like, I'll get like a 6-pound cake for like, or a 6-pound cookie for like £1.50, and I'm like, these cookies are so much better than every other cookie. But I think weirdly, I'm quite good at not being used to it in the sense that like, I can still appreciate that bad things have value. Cheap things have a, you know, I've had a bunch of expensive burgers, but I still crave a McDonald's burger, which is one of my add it to the big list of reasons I'll continuously talk about why it's actually a great thing to grow up poor. Chat, I've just worked out you can sprint crouch. Have you ever seen this before? Oh yeah, it specifically needs 2 input methods. It's been fun, thanks. Thank you, Said6, for saying it was fun and for spending your time with me, but then even crazier, spending your money with me. Thank you very much for watching this video. Where is the M&S? It's a brand, well, the one I want to go to, it's a brand new one in Central. I want to say it's on Oxford Street. There's 2 on Oxford Street, and the big one isn't the new one. It's the slightly smaller one that's the newer one, I think. But there's a Selfridges there that has a similar thing. I'm gonna go off after my delightful sprint home. This is very silly, chat. Swift sneak. No, but like, look, this is walking. This is running. It might not be that I'm actually going any quicker. Yeah, this is very silly. I didn't know you could do this. So is this the same speed? No, it's definitely faster, right? Or is it? I can't tell. Yeah, okay. Oh, I know it. Yeah, it's I think it was really ugly for a really long time because they were fixing it, but now they have fixed it. Oh yeah, this is fun. So with that said, chat, thank you for coming along. As you know, I'm bad at goodbyes, so I'm just not gonna do one. I'm just gonna be talking, and then the stream's gonna end mid-sentence, and you can deal with that how it is. Oh, you can't. Okay, there we go. We can get a boat now. So the weather's been pretty good. It's like, you know, it's like warm when you're in the sun, but it's not that warm when you're not in the sun. Your mic's pretty low. Yeah, I've got a new shock mount now. You'll be pleased to know. But yeah, for some reason my microphone is going way lower on the settings. No understanding of why that is. I'm like talking into it now rather than like onto the side of it. Anyway, I'm gonna go get myself a sandwich, chat. I had a lobster roll earlier, and now I'm gonna eat some, hopefully, a 6-pound cookie that cost me £1.50, and a 5-pound sandwich that cost me dramatically less than that. Thank you.